Good morning, folks. Welcome back to the shop. Today I brought this old Nulite lantern of mine out here and lit it up because I've got another Nulite lantern to work on out here. This is a Nulite model 5WM. They were made from 1919 to 1923. I've had this one for a while. I actually did a video of it a couple years ago, just a light up video of it. I'll put a link to that video down in the description. But last year up at the Cornstock Lantern Festival deal that I go to, I found this one, which I'm pretty sure is another Nulite Model 5WM from 1919-1923. They're pretty much identical, except for somebody has put either a Coleman or a Coleman style generator in this one, and it's missing its Mica chimney. Somebody just stuck a Coleman glass in it, which is too tall. The chimney kind of just sits on top of the glass on top here instead of on top of here where it's supposed to, but it'll work for now to get it going. But to get it going is going to be a chore. This one needs some work. Let's get the camera in a little bit closer here. This poor old thing, I think it's going to clean up well enough, but it is unfortunately been sat with regular pump gas in it. So it stinks like old rotten pump gas. I don't think I could even fit the bore scope down there. But I don't know exactly what it's got going on. The bottom of it's kind of bowed out a little bit so it doesn't set flat. So I don't know if you can see that the way the camera's sitting there, but it doesn't sit flat on the table. The bottom's kind of bowed out a little bit, like it had water in it and froze or something. Yeah. But it looks good. And it looks like it's been that way for a long time because there's a spot worn in the middle of it. So I don't know if at some point somebody severely overpressurized that thing somehow. I don't know how you even would with the style of pump that these have. They aren't the greatest pump on earth. But somehow, at some point, this poor old thing has gotten the bottom of it bowed out. It's not in such bad shape that I'm worried about it leaking if I pressurize it, and it doesn't even bother me that much that it rocks back and forth. Most of the time I have them hanging up when they're burning anyway, but not always. But anyway, we're gonna have to get this thing tore down. It smells like rotten pump gas. When I try to pump the pump, it seems like it wants to bump pressure, but no pressure can go through. So whatever, this has like a European style. Oh, that was loose. Somebody's already had that off trying to figure it out. A European style pump that doesn't have the positive shut off. Like you don't pump it and then turn it down a couple turns to seat a needle and seat on there. It's just the pump pressure goes through there, and then the check valve is what's counted on to hold the pressure. So we're gonna have to get this out of here, which looks super easy. It looks like it ought to just pop right out of there. Wow. Usually when there's black tarry stuff coming, seeping out and running down the side of something, it's gonna pop right loose. So let's go ahead and pop the top off of here. That nut barely will thread on there because this glass is up about a 1/4 inch higher than the top of the vent should have been, so it holds the vent up a little bit. But eventually, if I get this lantern working and it works good, I'll get another Mica chimney from Rob Butts and put that on here. They make an old lantern pop when you got a nice new Mica. See if the camera can pick that up. You can see the old Coleman logos on those mantles. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to tear this thing all the way down, so those mantles aren't going to survive. But yeah, I'll take what I can get of these mantles off of here and put them in the garbage. I have no idea the age of them, but there's a very good likelihood they could be old thorium mantles. Well, first things first. Let's get a big wrench. And we might have to set the lantern vise up, but I'll start out just by having Dad hold it, and I'll get a big wrench and try to pop this out of here so we can get that soaking in some fuel. I'll just put some Coleman fuel in a can and let it start soaking in there.
You think a socket will work better?
It might. It wouldn't work worse. That fits on there. You know what? We might be able just to use the impact and zap that right out of there. The air compressor's already on, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I was sanding earlier.
We'll try this gently. I mean, you can't really be gentle with the air impact, but we'll give it a try. See if this will pop this out of here. Set it to reverse so I don't just tighten it down even more than it already is. Down on there? Yeah, it is. Yeah, it turned.
That worked pretty good.
Maybe, unless it just ripped all the threads off of it.
Well, let's hope not.
I will not reinstall it with that, that's for sure. Huh? There we go. I can see why that would be bad, because somebody definitely did leave old rotten pump gas in here, and there's just a layer of pump gas varnish on there. That's nasty. I'm going to soak it in some Coleman fuel and see if that will loosen it up a little bit.
I think lacquer thinner would work better. I got some lacquer thinner over there.
We could try. I don't think it would work worse.
Is that the can you're going to use?
Yep. Alright, see if we can get this in to come loose. Ooh, we might have to soak it for a while before that'll even come loose. Or give it a little bit of heat. I'm going to try to unscrew that off of there because there's a spring in a check valve, not a check ball, a check valve underneath of there. So I want to try to get that off of there so we can get some thinner soaking through everything. Oh, yeah, we're gonna have to soak it for a little bit, and then we may have to hit it with the torch to warm it up a little bit. But for right now, Dad just filled up a old soup can full of lacquer thinner, and I'm just gonna drop that. I'll actually drop it on its side so it fills up the inside and the outside. I'm gonna go ahead and put my fuel cap in there too. Furnace is gonna go ahead and run. Heck, it's not even that cold out today. Oh well, we'll let it run. Let's go ahead and tear the rest of this thing down. These are pretty easy to come apart. There's a nut up here on the top. You pull that off and your whole burner assembly will just lift right up off of there. Then we can try to get this generator. That sure looks like a Coleman generator to me, but it doesn't have the right kind of nut on the bottom, so I don't know if somebody took it apart, put that nut on there, and then reflared the end of it or something. Really don't know. We'll get that off of there and get this thing tore down, I'm sure. Oh, well, there's still, I don't know if the camera will pick that up, if there's enough light in there, but there's still liquid fuel, liquid old rotten shitty pump gas sloshing around in there. Let's see if we can find something to, oh, look down in here too. Where I dropped those parts in there already, look at the varnish staining the bottom of the can coming off of there. So that lacquer thinner is working really good for that. We may have to use a little bit of the lacquer thinner for cleaning out this fount too, because man, that's really cutting it good. That's okay. I'm just dumping old nasty gas out of here into it. Let's see what this looks like here. No, it doesn't look as bad as I thought it was going to.
I've seen a lot worse than that.
Yeah, I thought it was going to look like maple syrup coming out of there. I figured it'd be really thick too, but doesn't smell good, that's for sure. I don't know why I keep on smelling it over and over again, because I already know it doesn't smell good. It is kind of nice to have that big pump hole there for cleaning this fount out, because it's going to need some cleaning. Alright, let's take this one nut up here on the top off of here. Ooh, might have to warm that up too. Normally, I guess I really wouldn't want to use a torch right next to that open fount, but I'm pretty sure that the fuel that was left in there wouldn't burn if you tried to. Now let's see if that'll break loose. It's moving a little bit. There we go. I can see right up by the top of it, you can see when the rust just starts flaking and popping off as it starts to turn, even before it moves a little bit. I'm surprised those will come loose at all. Being inside of a lantern like that, you know that thing's been just scorching hot and then cold over and over again 1,000 times, but it does look, now that it's threading off there, like that's a brass nut maybe, so that's probably why it doesn't seize up on there. Now it's getting loose, but I can't touch it because it's hot, so. Let that cool down for a minute. I just had an idea. I'm gonna take this can outside and see if that fuel would even burn anymore. I'll bet it won't even burn. I'll set this can down over here where it's in the shade. I wouldn't be surprised if it won't even burn at all. Well, it does, but it ain't exploding. It's burning more like kerosene or diesel fuel than if it was fresh, good gasoline. Okay, so it will burn, but it's not burning phenomenally, that's for sure. That's cooled down enough now I can get that off of there. Then once you get that nut off of there, this whole assembly, ooh, it's kind of stuck too, but it will come loose and wiggle right up off of there. There we go, it's moving a little bit. It'll wiggle loose off of that. That's a bad angle, but wiggle loose off of there. Come on. There we go. This whole piece, that hole right down through the middle of there, just sets right down over that stud that comes up the center of the lantern, and that's what holds your entire burner assembly in there. We can see if any of this stuff will come loose easily or not, but nope, I'm not going to force it. I can blow it out with it all together. Boy, that's a crusty mess. There are holes that are completely plugged on there. We'll hit that with some wire brushes, blow it all out really good, run a wire up through there as best we can, make sure that that's cleaned out and in good shape. I don't want to force it apart on something that I don't have spare parts for though. Well, the camera will never pick it up, but the Coleman style generator's tip cleaner. When I just turned the tip lever up, I saw the tip cleaner wire poke out through the top, so we know that that's probably going to work. I don't know if I have one of the generators. I can never remember. I think it's an R55. But I can't ever remember the number. If you watch my videos a lot, you've heard me say that about 20 different times on different videos. But I never can remember what that number is. And I don't know if I got one in my kit over there that I can show what the difference is.
I can't see this one.
Yeah, I think somebody's modified that. Well, that's got the original Akron one in it. Somebody's modified that. That's got a ferrule and a compression nut on there. That's interesting. Let me look and see. I think I've got at least part of one of these in here. Okay, I do have one in here that is the Coleman rotary type. This is a more modern replacement, so it doesn't say the R55 or whatever it is on there, but it's the same style, and you can see those are the same generator, but somebody has taken that style fitting off of the end of this and added a compression nut and a ferrule on there. We'll see if it works. If it works, that's kind of good to know. That's something that you can commonly get to, I guess you'd say, remanufacture one of these to make it work on a Nulite lantern. So that's interesting. We'll see if it works. We'll clean that generator up good. Those are pretty good old generators. Unless they're plugged up so bad that you can't get them unplugged, they always seem to work for me. Set that off to the side. Now there's just a little jam nut that holds the cage on here.
Cage is a little crooked, it looks like.
Yeah.
But the light sets a little
That
crooked
wasn't too tight at all. When I was wiggling the wrench trying to get it down on the nut, I broke it loose. So it's just a little bitty thin jam nut on here. Drop that in that can and let it soak. And this whole cage lifts up off of there. We'll hit all this stuff with some Scotch-Brite or steel wool or something to clean it up a little bit. This is as far as I've ever had a Nulite lantern apart. My guess is that jam nut can come off and I can thread that whole stem right out of there, because I'm gonna have to get this apart just about as far as I can get it apart, because everything's got old gummed up pump gas in it. That's the problem. You can run pump gas in your old lanterns, it'll burn just fine, but boy, if you leave it in there and it gums up, it sure does make a mess. There is nothing to backseat on that too, so this stem, you just open this up a few turns after you light it. If you tried to thread it out and backseat it like you do a Coleman one, it would thread right out and fall out in your hand. The packing down in there looks pretty good. I'm not going to pick it apart. I'm going to leave it just like that. Now I can get this old collar off of here. I don't know if these collars say anything on them anywhere or not. Obviously my other one that I named Old Rusty doesn't say anything on its collar because it's practically rusted away. Set that off to the side. We'll hit that with some Scotch-Brite or steel wool. Now, I'm not positive if that stud thread's out of there, but I really don't see the need to thread that out of there necessarily. That's not a part that I'm going to have to try to get anything flushed through. I don't know if this is all one. Yeah, I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to take this over to the vise, just like I did on that red 200A lantern, and just put a towel in the vise, flip this upside down in the vise so the vise holds that part, and then you can just grab the fount and spin the fount right off of there. That doesn't look phenomenal. Maybe that's the way it was though. Maybe they did it like a bend like that so that that piece couldn't be flat right against the bottom of the fount or something. Huh. That's nasty, but that's surprising. That pickup tube passes air out the stem where the needle thread's in there and out the bottom when I blow on top of it. Would not have expected that. I am going to just drop it down in the lacquer thinner and let it soak in there too. Alright, let's stick the old borescope camera down in here and see what it looks like. The floor does look a little nasty and gummy in there, but not as bad as I had thought. There, okay, you can see where the floor and the sidewall meet. Sidewall looks a little rusty, but I think I'm going to rinse this out. I'm going to try some of Dad's lacquer thinner because it's really eating the varnish off of those other parts we got soaking in there, so I think that'll clean up pretty good. Maybe I'll put some lacquer thinner and a few nuts and washers in there and shake it around, knock stuff loose, and we'll see what it looks like after that. Alright, we got the loose stuff knocked off inside of there. I put lacquer thinner, put a bunch of steel washers in there, shook it around and around and around, then dumped those back out. Got them all back out of there, and then I put a little bit more lacquer thinner in, swished that around, dumped it back out again. I think I got it all cleaned out pretty good. Now I'm going to start cleaning this up a little bit. Dad's already got the collar off it, and he's going after that with a piece of Scotch-Brite. Take this Scotch-Brite and dip it in a little bit of that lacquer thinner and start scrubbing the gunk off of there. I want to make sure that everybody realizes I'm just cleaning, I'm not polishing here. I don't want people to think I'm starting to polish my lanterns. That is taking that off of there pretty good. I don't know if this is nickel plating or chrome on this. I kind of wonder if it's chrome, and that's why it didn't hold up as well as the nickel plated founts, because you see lots of Nulites that are very rusty. Boy, yeah, that old fuel varnish, that lacquer thinner eats it off of there like it's nothing. Here's, no, that's rust. I thought that was another spot of gunk, but it's just rust. The lacquer thinner won't eat that right off of there.
Probably not.
but I think lacquer thinner is my new go-to for varnish fuel removal. We're using the can that Dad had out here at the shop when he was still running the auto body shop before he retired 5 years ago. No, it's not been 5 years yet. About 4 years, yeah. About 4 years ago. So it's a 5-gallon can of lacquer thinner he had from when he was still running the auto body shop. So I guess when that finally runs out, I'll have to buy a can of it.
Oh no, I got another 5 gallons.
Oh, you got another 5 gallons
Yeah.
still clear? Oh, heck.
Yeah, I got a full can sitting there, and it'll probably last even longer.
Yeah, because this one was probably half empty when you quit running the shop.
Yep.
Okay, I guess we're set for a while then.
Yeah, we're good.
There, that looks a lot better.
More presentable.
More presentable. I guess Dad already hit this with the Scotch-Brite, but I'll hit it with the steel wool now. But I wonder if that was chrome instead of nickel plating, because you can see the brass coming through on that. We'll hit it real quick with the steel wool too.
I didn't clean way up inside of it.
Not gonna worry about cleaning the bottom side of it, but we got the loose stuff knocked off of there. Dad cleaned up the collar. That's good enough for that. Now let's clean up these parts that have been soaking in here and see if we can get this pump to pump again. Okay, amazingly, I would have never believed that this fuel pickup wouldn't have been plugged, but it wasn't. Can of carb cleaner's down to just about nothing left but air. Carb cleaner blows through every direction. Let's take a look at the fuel cap. It was nasty looking. Yeah, that stuff comes off pretty easy after soaking in there. I don't know if I can get this to come apart or not. Oh, heck yeah, it's gonna pop apart. Oh no! Found the screw. I'd hate to lose that original screw out of there. Ew, yeah, I don't know what that is, but we're gonna drop that back in to soak for a few more minutes. Now I can get at the top of this a little better for cleaning the gunk off of there. Alright, we'll soak that a little longer, but it's cleaning up pretty good. This whole thing was black and tarry and nasty, and stuff is coming right off of it now. That's amazing. I can't believe that stuff cleaned off there that easily. Now let's see if that'll come loose or if I'm going to have to heat it up. Oh, still going to have to heat it to get it to come off there, I think. Okay, I didn't even have to heat it up. I just put this loosely in the vise so that I could get a better grip on it, and then it came right loose. I don't believe that this...
Is there a check valve in there then?
There's a check valve. I don't think that's got a hole through it or anything. I think that is just a cap that goes over the end because the air comes out through the holes in the side of that. But
You have seat, valve and seat in there? Or?
yeah, they call it a pip. And there's just a little, there we go, got it broke loose. A little, this, yeah, get that spring back out of there. I'm sure it's good to fish around in there with my bare hands. This little cap and spring goes in there, and then this little piece sets right inside the spring. And the spring keeps this pushed up against the seat. Inside of there, there's a tiny little, I don't even know if it was cork or leather, or it probably wasn't cork, leather or something originally, but I've got some rubber replacement pieces to put in there. So we'll try to dig that out of there and replace it with a rubber piece just to give ourselves a little bit better chance of sealing. Now that that's out of there, I don't know if the camera can see it, but I can see daylight through there. It's not plugged up at all. It just had that little pip was just gummed in place in there. So actually, maybe just after soaking it, it might have been able to push itself loose. But I'm going to put this back in there for another minute, let it soak a little bit more. Okay, I went back and rinsed one layer of the lacquer thinner off my fingers before I end up with finger cancer from it. When you pick that up out of there now, liquid runs right through it, so it's definitely not plugged up. That's awesome. Dad's working on the cage.
Knock a little rust off of it.
Oop. Yeah, that bottle brush is too big around to go down there too, and it doesn't have any bristles coming off the end. This really won't reach down in there worth a damn either. So I guess it's just gonna be carb cleaner. Blast it out a little bit. Okay, I'll try to get a picture with my camera here and see if I can show you what this little check ball part looks like. I don't know if my camera will focus on it worth a darn either, but there's a little raised ridge in there that the check valve sets against. Like I said before, this piece has a tiny little, probably leather originally, piece in there. We're going to see if we can pop that out and replace it with rubber. Yep, it looks to me to be leather that's coming out of there. Get all that old residue cleaned out of there. And then I got to dig through my bag of parts and find the little leather or little rubber pips that I got to go in here. There we go. Okay, you got our little check valve plunger piece here. I got the little cup on the end of it all cleaned out, and this little bitty round rubber piece is what goes in there to replace the leather that I dug out. You just push it down in there and then use something to seat it down in all the way. Doggie's wanting to play fetch all of a sudden, bringing Grandpa the tennis ball. Okay, so now the new rubber seal is in there. The rubber seal and the little plunger go right in here on that spring. And then the whole assembly goes right up in there, and that's what makes up your check valve. So I am confident that that's going to work now.
Where's the ball? Bring the ball.
That's kind of a mess. Maybe I better soak that for a few minutes and clean it too, but I can try it now and see if air pumps through there. And it does. That's working. So we'll set this aside. I'm going to put this in the lacquer thinner and let it eat all that stuff off of there. I'll keep the end with the leather on it up at the top so it's not getting in there and drying out the leather. Now let's see what the heck they got on this for sealing that up. I really don't know what that is that they put on there, but you know. Hit it with a brass brush and try to clean it all out of there. I've got some fuel cap seals that are for the Coleman smaller fuel cap. The old rusty Nulite just got a gasoline resistant O-ring in it, and that works fine, and we've got more of those, but I may actually have a flat gasket that'll fit back in this. If I don't, then it'll get a chemical resistant O-ring put in there too. Still some gook down in there. Alright, let's see if we got a rubber O-ring the right size for that. I don't think these are. I got a couple loose ones in there. I don't think these will cut it though.
I'll have to go and get you the O-ring thing if you need it.
I'll just go out there and get the right one out of the box and leave the box out there. Okay, I got one that fits in there, but it doesn't fit tight. I guess it fits tight enough to stay there, but yeah, maybe it will stay put. So I just got a rubber O-ring in there and clean the inside of this if I can get that down in there far enough. I certainly hope this lantern runs after all this.
I bet it will. It's like new inside now.
There we go. Much better. Alright, let's tip the camera back up. Scoot it back a little bit here. Start reassembling. Put the fuel cap back together. Well, I'll clean up this just a tiny little bit. Just the screw that goes in the center of the cap. At least knock the loose stuff off of it. on all of these caps. So usually when I put them back together, I just put my thumb on the bottom, hold some pressure on it, tighten that down as tight as I can. Hold it with pressure on my thumb. You don't have to torque those down. I guess I should clean that just a tiny little bit since we've cleaned everything else a little bit. Well, I think I'm going to start with the Fount.
It's an 1/8, wasn't it?
Yep. Yeah, 11/8.
Yeah, 11/8. 1/8 would be 9/8.
Yeah, that is right. Yeah, 11/8 would be 1 and 3/8. That'll do. Actually, what I'm going to do is set the wrench like that. Just turn that against it a couple times. Get this good and snug. It's got to be pretty tight to crush that lead down to make a good seal. And it looked like it was not sealing wonderfully before because there was fuel dripping down the side, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the fuel was coming out around those threads. That fuel could have been coming out because that pip was leaking, and then it would gurgle fuel clear up through that tube and run down, and that would make sense because all of this was black and nasty around there too. So
It looks pretty shiny for one of our lanterns.
it does. I'm a little bit scared of it. I'll hang it up out in the garage and get some dust on it, and then it'll
That'd be better.
be better. Let's see. On that one, when you're facing the valve, the pump's on the left, the fuel filler's on the right, so that's probably about right. By the time I get this half a turn, I won't want to go any tighter than that. I'm actually going to have to take it back to the vise to get it tightened up that last little bit. Alright, the air compressor kicked on there, so while the air compressor was running, I sprayed a little bit of carburetor cleaner through the generator, and it sprays right out the tip of the generator, so that should be good. Let's continue reassembling this. That should be just about straight back from. These two should basically line straight up. That's how it was when I took it apart. So we're gonna try to get it to turn that little bit farther. It's close enough for me. Now we gotta put our collar back on there. Whoops, I'm trying to put it on upside down. It does seem to me like it would go with the bigger holes at the top, but that's not the way either one of these were, so. Get our fuel needle. Clean the tip of that up just a little bit here.
The ball's behind you.
Well, Leo and Grandpa are in a heated ball game here. Snug that up and then, ooh, that's plenty tight. I like to snug it a little bit and then turn the stem because you're just tightening that packing. If you go too tight, you can't turn the valve. And that's a little bit more snug than I would have shot for, but since it's already there, I'm not going to loosen it back up any. Now, let's see here. Dad worked on this cage a little bit. There's not much plating left on it.
I didn't try to straighten it any.
No, it's not.
It's okay like it is.
I might be able to go just a little bit on it and get it to...
A little crooked, it's okay.
Close enough. Got this little plate that goes down on there. And your little thin jam nut.
Looking good, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Gonna be a nice looking lantern.
Worthy of a new club.
Yep, I will probably have him bring one to the Cornstock festival for me, and we'll slap a new Mica chimney in this when we're up there. I'll put a link to the video from up there from last year too. I didn't do a lot of recording. I get busy visiting with people, walking around looking at stuff, and forget to grab the camera. But I will throw a link to that video down in the description of this video. Now let's put this, let's see, I think I want to, well, I guess it really doesn't matter where I line up the tip cleaner because I don't have a Mica right now, but I'll line the tip cleaner up off to the side so it's not right above the knob. That way once I do get a Mica chimney with a door and I open up the door to put the lighter in, I can turn the knob with one hand and have the lighter coming in from the other side. I am not having very good luck getting that nut started on there. There we go. Had it cross threaded at first. I'm going to get aggressive and screw up the threads on something that I don't have parts for. It's an interesting fix, taking a Coleman generator and cutting the end of it off and putting a ferrule and compression nut on it. If it works, it works. People did what they had to back in the day to keep their stuff working for them. Tight, and the generator seems tight, doesn't want to wiggle around in there, so here we go, a little closer. I guess now I can get my burner put back in there, but I'm gonna get the blowgun and blow air every direction I can through here and try to get this all blown out before we put it back together. Okay, there's a hole right there in your base plate. These draw your air from outside of the collar instead of like a Coleman comes down and draws your air from inside of the collar. And I think that's just so that the bugs at least have to be small enough to get through that hole to get in there, where this, anything that could fit in there could come and climb right up in there. But the top slides down on this post, the hole in the center goes right down over your generator, and then that tube drops down through the hole here on the outside edge of the...
They didn't have bugs 100 years ago.
I'll bet they did.
Yeah, probably.
I'll bet they had plenty of them. And they didn't have any bug spray.
Prehistoric bugs.
Or window screens, or... Well, they probably had screen windows by the 1920s.
Oh yeah. Made out of copper or brass.
Put this little
Now you get tired.
brass nut back on here and get it tightened down. We're just about ready to put the pump together, throw some fuel in here, and see if this thing's gonna light. There we go, burner's back in. Let's finish cleaning up this pump and put the pump back together. Dang, just soaking. Most all that stuff came off of there. Came off good enough to make me happy anyway.
Gotcha.
Alright, I guess before I put this back in there, I'll go dip it in the Marvel Mystery Oil. I prefer to use Marvel Mystery Oil on my pump leathers because I like the way it smells. That's about the only reason. That, and we keep it around for Model A's, and once I got the Dodge Brothers going again this year, I'll probably do the same thing with that, where each time we fill it up with fuel, I just put a little splash of Marvel Mystery Oil in the fuel tank. Alright, let's make sure that valve's shut, and let's give this a few pumps and see if it... Well, now the pump doesn't seem like it's working. It was before.
That darn mystery oil.
We'll spread that leather out a little bit. Leather looks pretty good. It's got a few little like cracked looking spots on the end of it, but not bad. Certainly should still work. Now it's pumping. These are not as good a pumps as a Coleman pump, that's for sure. Alright, let's see if we hear anything.
Yeah.
We're pumping pressure. Let's pump it back up now and crack the valve up and see if we hear anything. Okay, let's see if we can hear a hiss when I crack this open. I hear it. It's quiet, but I can hear it. Stops when I turn that up. Starts again when I turn it back down. I think,
We're golden.
yeah, we're ready to fuel this old girl up. And pump it up, put some mantles on it, see if this thing's gonna burn for the first time in who knows how many years. I'm pretty sure I did say at the beginning of this video that I bought this last fall up at the Cornstock Lantern Festival. And I'll put a a link to that video in the description. I don't know if you see this in that video or not. I did buy it up there, but I don't remember if I show it in that video at all or not. And I got 5 more at home too. We cleaned out the local Walmarts when they went on clearance with their Crown brand camping fuel. We cleaned out the 2 closest to us. We'll fuel her up good because I will light this up, get a shot of it in the dark at home tonight if it works. Yeah, I'll put just a little splash more in there. Burning Dad's fuel, I might as well have it clear full.
You bet.
Once we get the gallons we got now used up, we're gonna start buying our fuel in bulk and get a barrel and a barrel pump and have it somewhere here at the shop. Well, that O-ring that I said doesn't fit in there very well and might fall out stays right in there, so
It's better than what I had.
yeah, I don't know what the heck was even in there. I don't know if they had tried sealing it up with some kind of putty or something or what. I always, when I get done pumping, I want to turn that to tighten it down, but it does nothing on this lantern when you do that. Tie on some mantles here. We'll pause the camera until I get these tied on. Alright, mantles are tied on. Oh, thought I lost my nail clippers for a minute. Grab my nail clippers, trim these strings off of here. Throw those on the floor. Dad can sweep them up the next time he sweeps in here.
I need to sweep. I got sawdust all over the floor.
Yeah, Dad's building another tailgate bench over here out of an old Ford tailgate. And he's got
Working on another bench around the corner too.
stuff drug out for that. Alright, let's burn these mantles in.
You've almost gotten a bad spot over there.
Uh-oh. Yeah, that's a bad deal. Now he ran away from the balls underneath the creeper up against the wall and he can't get it over there.
I'll do it.
Grandpa to the rescue. At least you two are both getting your exercise today.
You could have got that if you had strong.
All right, well,
Here she goes.
let's see what happens. So I guess I'm gonna have Rusty and Rocky here. We got old Rusty back there, and this one's gonna be named Rocky.
Clear full of air.
I don't hear it hissing or anything. There, I heard a little when I turned the tip cleaner. There we go. Turn the fuel back off until it quits flaring up here. Uh-oh, tip plugged up again. Turn the tip cleaner. It's burning one mantle but not the other one. There we go. There we go. That looks pretty comparable to the other one.
Yep.
Yeah, this pump is catching about a third of the time. So I might have to find a proper size leather for that. But it is, they're starting to work a little better now. It's working and pumping it up at least. That's impressive for what it was doing at the beginning of the video here. Alright, there was some glass cleaner here. It's right there.
Oh.
Jeez. Leo and Grandpa, neither one could see the ball that was right out in the open.
Well, my nose ain't as good as his.
Alright. Slide that back down in there even though it's actually too tall for this lantern. Put the vent back on there. It is pretty cool that it's got the correct original ball nut for the top of it.
That is nice.
Let's get this one over here too. Yeah, the bottom of that one is almost completely flat. I would like to know whatever happened to this poor old thing to bend the bottom of it like that. But at least I got a name for it now. We got old Rusty and old Rocky here. Alright folks, it's about 20 minutes after 10 now. Old Rocky, the Nulite lantern, still sitting out here burning good. If you're enjoying the content we're putting out every week, the best thing you can do to help support our channel is just to let those ads play when they come up. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment, share the video. If there's somebody you know that you think might like this video, share it with them. And come on back next week, folks. We'll have a video of something here for you to watch.